which we have to deal with here, is like a page plus, which is a pretty heavy Ramban, which you have to know. If you want me to open my mouth, it's probably one of the most, it's a Shas Ramban. Ramban deals with all the concepts of Tnai Kofel, and Masa Mashkos B'Torah. This is the big Ramban, and we learned Sugis Tnoim, knows this. I don't know if any of you learned the Sugis of Tnoim before. So you're going to need tomorrow either to tie up whatever's finished, what you haven't finished up here in Acharecha, which, well, I don't know. Maybe we can continue more when we get to Kuf Lamed Vav. Don't think we're going to Kuf Lamed Hey. Don't think we're going to get there. But unless no one goes on vacation, so I don't plan to go on vacation. So we'll get there by Tisha B'Av. We can continue. Isn't it, as far as I'm concerned? But no one's going to camp, guys. Let's forget it. There is no camp. There's no Kaylee, and there's no whatever it is. You know what I mean? Whatever it's called there, Morasha Kailo, the garnish, Asher Yosher Visecha. You know, so just like poor ignition we learned so we can learn of. What's the difference? Your air conditioner works, that's going to be your vacation. You know, they used to say, Rav Blazer tells him, my father told me, what was nafkamin in Bein Zman and the Zman? That during the Zman he learned with his frock, and Bein Zman he learned without his frock. So for me, there's not much difference. During this Zman I learned without a shirt, and during Bein Zman I learned without a shirt, but I always keep my tzitzis. So for me, there's no difference, you know, really no difference as far as that's concerned. But really, maybe that'll be the difference for you. You'll take your shirt off and learn with tzitzis. Well, I'll have shib and azmanim just in tzitzis. Just make sure you have a decent undershirt. Okay, that's what I'm offering. So we'll be able to finish weiter. Whatever it be, that's the Metzias. I will send you Bli Neder tonight or tomorrow morning early on the sheer chat. I'll send you a page of my Mekayim on Tnoim. This is a very broad sugya. There's a lot of Gemara to learn. Sugya in Ksubis, Nazir, and a lot of Tyson you have to know. Did you guys ever do this? Did you ever learn Tanai? I mean, someone learned Kedushin here. There's a Tysus of there or Makais. I don't know. Don't know what people learned or what they didn't learn. What's the difference? I mean, if you learned it, it's a very nice sugya. This Ramban is like the master. So every line has to be undone. It's a great Ramban. So do that. We will continue. We will do this on Thursday, I guess. And tomorrow, if there's a group interested, I don't want to be going Bittul Torah. Anybody that wants to continue learning the Gemara, that please do. Don't do anything else. If there's guys which need an hour break or something like that, so then let me know, and I'll do a machshava class from 6:15 to 7:30 or 6:30 to 7:30, whatever is good for the guys. You know what I mean? A little a breather instead of going out and hacking. What do? You hack. Mitzvah lahak, hack. Instead of hacking, I'll hack for you. Okay, so you'll enjoy. It'll be a Jackie Mason hour in which we'll learn something light. If this is what you're interested in and you don't want to learn, so then I'm willing to supply the Bittul Torah Be'echus. Chalil, it's not Bittul Torah. I'll supply the Bittul Torah Be'echus and we'll learn just Agoda and not Halacha. Okay, so if you want to do that, I'm here to serve. Okay, so it's okay. I will do that with pleasure. Okay, let's go back to the business. Actually, I had a nice fun today, thinking and doing things up together. It was really very nice. Here, let's go to the, let's just put ourselves into place. We have a broad machlokes, the das of the Rashbam in Kuf Chav Hey and Kuf Lamed Zai, and the das of the Rif, actually the Yad Ramah, and also the Ramban and the Milchamos. We'll put this down. Gidon, by the way, I will answer your question when we went in this session today. I didn't bother talking about it. Okay, do you hear me? That was from Mr. Fox. I will answer your question in today's session, hopefully. So the das of the Rashbam and these Rishonim is in explaining the machlekes of Rebbe and Reb Shimon Gamliel and Daf Kuf Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph. As we all know, that the understanding of the machlekes Rebbe and Reb Shimon and Kuf Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph is dependent on how we understand Mistaver Milsa de Meimarava of Rabbah and Kuf Chav Hey Amud Beis. That's the Shorish machlekes. How does these two things somehow interact? How do they interact? What's the das of Rashbam and these Rishonim? The Rebbe holds the kolay ma'acharecha karem me'achshav dami, and therefore we say that the when I say nichsei l'sapta v'acharecha labas, So the bas, which is the sheni, she immediately acquires the guf from the nosein, and the rishon, which is the sapta, is only kind of the peiros. And because of that, the rishon cannot sell this, his peiros, and because all he can sell is the peiros and nothing more. And since he only has the peiros, the sheni is moitzim yada lekuchais. When the time of the sheni comes, he takes it. The best he can sell is for the time that he's alive. That's the most he can sell. Very similar to the Mishnah in Daf Kuf Lamed Vav Amud Aleph. When a father gives a child a matana, ma'ayem lacher misa, so the father has the peiros and the son has the guf, and the Mishnah says that the father can sell until he's dead. He can sell, that's what he owns. He can sell what he owns. He can't sell more than what he owns. So this is Das Rebbe. Okay, that's why and what happens according to that? This basically is the Gemara in Kuf Lamed Vav Amud Beis. What happens if a man says, let's get that Gemara for a moment. The Gemara says, Nichse lecha v'acharechi yirash pleini. I'm giving here, the notion is saying Nichse lecha to Rishon, and acharechi yirash pleini, which is the sheni, va'achrav, and after the death of the sheni, yirash shlishi, yirash pleini. So I'm giving a matana Rishon, sheni, and shlishi. What's the din? Meis Rishon, kana sheni. That's the halacha. Meis Rishon, kana sheni. What happens? Meis sheni, kana shlishi. What happens if Meis sheni b'chaya rishon? What happens if Meis sheni b'chaya rishon? So what do we say? Yachzu nechasim to who? Not to the Noisein, but to the Yoshei rishon. Okay, what's this for? What's this for? Meis sheni Yoshei. So what do we say? That's the Gemara says according to who? According to Rav Yochanan. According to Rish Lakish, it's not that way. So with the Ma'aser we hold in Rebbe, so Rashbam says, Ein Chanami, we have to give it to the Yoshei Noisein, not to the Yoshei Rishon. Because we hold the key in Paris of the Rishon. He only has key in Paris, is Lavka key in Aguv Dami. So immediately it goes back to Yoshei Noisein. Because what happens is that basically if Meis Sheni, so there's no continuance, and if there's no continuance, then immediately it goes back to the Noisein. This will also be something we have to understand, because if he said Rishon Sheni Shlishi, so whatever he gave to the Shlishi, only if there'll be a Sheni. And to the extent that there's no Sheni, there won't be a Shlishi. Memele, what's left? And he didn't give to the Rishon anything except for Peiros, and Vosses Geblieben, that the guf stays by him. So Memele, it goes back to Yoshei Noisein. This is the das of Rabbi. In other words, normally I give the guf to the sheni, but that's only if the sheni is alive. And if the sheni is not alive, there's no nesina l'sheni. And the rishon only had the peiros. And memele, if he has only the peiros, and the guf is given to the end of the chain, only if there is a chain. And since there's no chain, the guf was not given to the rishon, and the sheni died, so you couldn't get it. So memele, there is no shlishi. So memele lefizeh, therefore it's chayzer to Yoshei Rishon. This is the Gemara. Rebbe's Daya, according to the Rashbam and Kuf Lamed Zayin. This is all based on the idea that Acharecha K'mi'achshav Dami. But that Mi'achshav of the Shlishi is dependent on the existence of a Sheni. I mean, I hope you learned this Gemara, because I'm taking for granted that by now you learned these Gemaras. Otherwise, this sounds a bit like hieroglyphics. Okay? Already, yeah. That's Rebbe. Rebbe Shimon Gamliel holds Acharecha Shani. What does that mean? Rebbe Shimon Gamliel says Acharecha is Shani, and therefore, when you're makna to the Rishon, you're makna both the guf and the peiros. And therefore, when I gave to the Saptan and said Acharecha Labas, I gave to guf a good and peiros. And because of that, the Sapta can sell, and only what's left only is the Mishuyer. Why? Because we don't say Acharecha K'mi'achshav Dami. You only have the Mishuyer. You only have the Mishuyer. And what happens if Mesa Sheni, in the case of Rishon, if I said Nichse lecha, the Rishon, v'acharecha l'sheni, v'acharecha l'shlishi. So what's the halacha going to be? By the fact that you gave guf and peiros to the Rishon, so it's very clear that the Noisein is out of the picture. He doesn't have anything anymore. What's left? He gave guf and peiros to the Rishon, and after he dies, since it's not mi'achshav, to the sheni, and after he dies, to the shlishi. No, and if there is no sheni, and if there is no sheni, and therefore there is no shlishi, mamela, who's it going to go to? To whoever's the baal, the guf and peiros, which is the Rishon, and the Rishon is the Yoshei Rishon. Because normally the Rishon should be having good for Paris La'olam, Elamai. We made a din of Acharecha, but if the Arecha didn't realize itself, so bleibt es weiter Yoshe Rishon. Mashenkin, the Nisan doesn't have anything because he was Masalik himself. This is for Pshuta, and this is what comes out Lamaisa according to the Rashbam in Das of Shimon Gamliel in Daf Kuf Lamed Zayin Amid Aleph. So this is the halacha. That's another pasha. This is all Das Rashbam and the Ramah and the Ramban Milchamis and the Das Arif. The klal is Acharecha, according to halacha, according to Shimon Gamliel, is not Miachshav. And Acharecha means that you are getting good for Paris, and Acharecha gets also good for Paris. Now, how do I give good for Paris Acharecha if it's not Miachshav? The Teretz says it's a keen, the Zman that I own now, the Zman of a Chayfetz. So I gave time parcels. I gave time parcels of whatever is in this object has time. I give time parcels. That's what's happening. I'm giving literally time parcels. I own an object. I own its time. I'm giving time parcels. After you only have it for your life, for the existence of the chayfetz after your life, you don't have it. You never got it. That I gave to someone else. And so on and so forth. This is the these are sports that we already mentioned quite a few times in the past. This is Das Rashba. Das Balamor, the Razor, Zrachi Alevi in the Balamor and Dafkuf Kafayam and Beis is not that way. He believes that even according to Shimon Gamliel, Acharecha is Me'achshav Dami. Acharecha is Me'achshav Dami. And if Acharecha is Me'achshav Dami, so L'chara is not just buying parcels, you have it now. At Afal Pikain, he said, but since you said Nichse Lach V'Acharecha, the Rishon has Guf and Peresh. Because he said Nichse Lach V'Acharecha, Nichse Lach means to say, you're getting everything I have, yet there's a stipulation of Acharecha. Equals, I'm telling you, you now have good for pay. Whatever I have, you have, and that at Afal Pikain, because of Acharecha, you can therefore you have it and you can sell it. So what do we say? Afal Pikain, we say because Afal Pikain, because of Acharecha, you can sell it. What's the Razor's lashon? I l'chare good from Paris Acharecha. The other has good from Paris. No, if I said Nichse Lach ve'Acharecha, the implication is you are bilingual, and he only has the Mishuya. The lashon the Razor is Varehu Kamisha Omerloi Kishetered ben Nechasim Yeshayer L'char Rishon Knei Me'ayot. When you go down to those fields to take them, you will have it from today, from whatever's left in the fields that you go down to. Now, the obvious thing is, what does this mean? We'll see in a minute. But whatever, first of all right, I'm going to ask, what is this lashon Kishetered ben Nechasim? There's Epsaloch of Yeridol and Nechasim. What does this say? The lashon of Yeridol and Nechasim is found by Epal Chayv, which is Yerid and Nechasim to be Gaiva Chayv. What shaykh the lashon of Yeridol and Nechasim for guy? Oh, you should be saying whatever's left you own. Since when do we call a person which owns something called a Yerid and Nechasim? Yeridol and Nechasim, that's a halacha done by a drachta, by a din of ktav tir for the bezin has to write the rishus to be Yerid and Nechasim. What is the lashon leirid lenachasim in this Rambam, in this Razor? Is it lav dafka? But if you're sensitive to the language, you read lenachasim. This implies something. Okay, what it implies is this is a parallel to some kind of gvia or realization of a shibud of a schus of something that you have, and you have something like a shibud which now you're realizing, and then it's called the yerido lenachasim. This seems to be the language of the language. This is what it means. Now, obviously, he continues further Razah and says, as far as the din of Mocha ben Bechaya Av, the Gemara Daf Kuf Lamed Vav Amid Aleph at the bottom going into Amid Beis. If the father gave the son a matanim ayom la'acher misa, and then Mocha ben Bechaya Av, he sold whatever he had Bechaya Av, and then Meis Bechaya Av, and the son died Bechaya Av. What's the halacha? The Gemara says loikana loikeach. It's a memory of Rabbi Yochanan that you all know by now in Kuf Lamed Vav at the bottom of Amid Aleph, going into the first line of Amid Beis. Okay, Afagav that the father told the son Mihayoim. So how come that's the case? Is we say like he has something? See, once again there are says Nasik Kisha Tikna Paris La'achar Misa. When you acquire the Paris La'achar Misa, Knelach Gam Haguf Mehayim Ula Oisaizman. One wants to know what that means. Knelach Haguf Mehayim Ula Oisaizman. Look at those words. When you go down and you basically, when you buy those pairs Achar Misa, how do you buy them? Because when my death occurs, I don't have the pairs in my you're kind of them. Then you're also the kind of the guf mihayoim ula oisoizman. Now, between you and me, this is not a language of a t'nai, and it's not a t'nai there at all. That's not a t'nai to begin with. Yet the Ramban somehow understands the Razah as talking about dinei t'noim. And basically, the t'nai is that when you kind of, you have something to realize your ownership on. That's the t'nai. If there's something tangible to realize it on, then you are kind of afraid. It's a kim of a t'nai. As we mentioned, this is not a t'nai saying that if there's nothing, it's batel. It's saying, when is it kayim if there's something to be chal on? You look at the lashon of the Razah. The way the Ramban understands. It's called a t'nai mekayim, not a t'nai mevatel, okay? I want us to understand that. Now, according to that, therefore, the Ramban understands in the Razah that if there's nothing to be, if there's nothing mishuyar, it was sold already, so you can't collect anything, can't take, he said, can't be kind anything. So we say there's no kiyum at night. And if there's no kiyum at night, memela, the kiyum wasn't chalam, afreya, so you never had anything to begin with. So we understand the pshat of acharech, when I say matana, mayayim alachar misa, what does it mean? He understands that means it's a t'nai, that you have to be able to have something to be kind of. You have to have something to be kind of. That's a pella. He didn't say acharecha or anything like that. He just said mayem l'achar misa, yet somehow he understands in the Razah that also goes begether t'nai, because if not, what does one have to do with the other? And the Razah equates them. And where do you find the getter of t'nai there? Bishlam by a lashon of acharecha, etc. The acharecha implies mishuyer. This we can understand. It's a getter of a t'nai. What did I say? It said dichsel lacha ma'yom l'achar misa. More the kulama. Where are those words? Are they a remnant, a zecher, a remez, a side, a drash? Definitely not pshat of t'nai. And yes, somehow the Ramban understands that this is a getter of t'nai. Mainly, he asked quite a few questions. So the three questions which really are prominent. I'll go to the third one at the end if I have time. That's the sug from the sugi of Kuf Lamed Zayin by Esrig. That goes into other sugis from a ton of Naslahachzo, which I don't feel like doing now. We'll do with two major questions. And that is, first of all, why is it called Roy? The Razah says that because of this halacha, therefore, since Sabta can't sell it, even if she didn't sell it, it's called Roy and not Muzik. He doesn't understand. If the getter of acharecha is basically an idea that I'm giving it to you now, and you have it totally, but it's stipulated on the fact that there's going to be something free in my hands for you to have, and that's the t'nai. Okay, well, that's the case. What happens if it is free? And the t'nai was miskayim, so obviously it was always mine. Why is that called roy? Why isn't it called muzik? That's it. And go. The t'nai was kaim. You're kind of mafreya. I pointed out yesterday we can't say a svara because it's svina belev yom. Svina of yom is a svara. If something is yours but you don't control it, we say a svara like that. But what are we talking about over here? There's no zeicha to that over here at all. Here it means to say at the moment I own it. If someone can take it away from me, because I won't be able to fulfill my t'nai. Now there's a t'nai available. That's the pella. That's question number one of the Ramban. The second question of the Ramban he asked, which is actually the third question. Okay, the second question he asked from Kuf Lamed Zayin from the sugi of Esrig, which we will not talk at the moment. And the third question he asked from Daf Kuf Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph from Rav Acha bar Avia. The Rav Acha bar Avia says, what happens if he says Nichsa Lecha V'Acharecha Leploini, and that Lecha was a person which is royally Yerusha. Now remember, we're going to learn a Mishnah soon. Rav Blachman said that a person can stipulate which one of the Yorshim will be a Yerush. You can stipulate, you can make a t'nai in Yerusha, you're a Bailam, you're called a Meirish. We discussed this way in the beginning of this whole period. You're called a Meirish, and you can decide, and you have to be Meirish to your Mishpacha. You can decide who of your Mishpacha is going to be the representative of the Mishpacha of the Mishpachas Av, and therefore be the recipient of your Nechasim. As we pointed out, Yerusha is Nichsei HaMishpacha, And the Meirish, the Bailam can define who in the Mishpacha is going to be the Mamshech of Yimichsei HaMishpacha. We discussed this already when we discussed Yerushas Haba. Okay, so the Gemara says over there that if the first one was a Yairish, so then the second one's not going to get anything, because with the Acharecha, what happens? Nichselecha, as soon as you die, you have it out as a Yairish. And once you have it now as a Yerush is not a hefsek. If you only had it because you got a matana, niche, very nice. But no, you're getting it out as a Yerush. And in the matana, there's an acharecha. But if you're getting it because you're a Yerush, goodness sakes, who cares that you also have it within matana? You have it within Yerush. That Yerusha ain't lo hefsek. That's a Gemara Daf Kuf Lamed Gimel, the end of Amid Aleph. It's an interesting page. It's one of those pages that don't have taisvus. It's a very nice page, but there's enough Rashbam to keep you busy there. Okay. Let me just roll a bit first, because I really have a lot to finish. Can you write down the questions and keep them to the end? Because I'm now not saying more on this. I want to finish as much as possible. Okay. Unless there's something which is not clear, I'm trying to be as clear as possible. If it's a question, leave it. If the words I'm saying are not clear, please stop me. I'm going to be sweet and nice today. You'll be clear as it comes, but that's all I will do. Okay, please. Okay, I would love to do more. I can't. Okay. Okay. So the question the Rabban asked, he doesn't understand. Didn't you just say that Lamaisa Acharecha is Me'achshav? And basically the other fellow, the second fellow owns it now. He just has a T'nai, okay? But once the T'nai is fulfilled, the Kinyan was now. So for goodness sakes, it is not, when at the time of death, two things happen. A Chalaisha Yerusha and a Kiyam of a T'nai. No, but once the Kiyam of the T'nai, the Kinyan was before the Yerusha, it's a Kinyan Mechayim. So how can you tell me that the guy doesn't get it? His Kinyan precedes the Kinyan of Yerusha. It comes after the Kinyan of Matana, but precedes the Kinyan of Yerusha. That's the question of the Ramban. If we learn that they get rid of T'nai, but the Maisa Kinyan was Muslim B'Shas Chayim, Elamai, there's a T'nai, you have to be Yored L'Nechasim, for goodness sakes. The death is the Miluya T'nai, and the death is also the Yerusha, but the Miluya T'nai means that now the Kinyan is L'Mafreya, because you said it's Kimi Akshav Dami, so the Kinyan is preceded the Yerusha. You didn't have what to be Meirish, for goodness sakes. That's the two questions of the Ramban asked. Now, you can ask a few more questions. Let's just put on the table. Another question you have to ask, it's very clear the Ramban, the Razor did not mean T'nai, because if he meant T'nai, for goodness sakes, if anyone reads the first of Ramaskal and the Razor, he goes to town, gives us long speeches in the Ramaskal of Al Titama. If you have it in front of you, if you don't, I suggest you open it. And get Megraisa Drasha start, and why does it work? And he says, but this ain't Pasha, it's a T'nai again. Why do I need to compare it to anywhere or anything? Say it's a T'nai. Goodbye, Charlie. I mean, whatever you say, the Lashon of T'nai is not found in those Gemaras. You have to cook it up anyway. So say that and Shalom Al Yisrael. There would be no question to that. Al Titama, how can you have a Kinyan? And it's Batal, the answer is because there's a T'nai. And I can do what I want to be Messiah, the capability of Kiyam T'nai. What's the problem? What do we have to ask Michal? That's question number one. It's the Chayra Pella, not just a question. So I don't even begin to understand how the Ramban understood the Razor that way. Except for that, also the Lashon found in the Ramban, in the Razor, of how the Matana is batel. The Lashon is Nizbatel HaMatana, Nizbatla HaMatana. It's not meduya, because if this would be a T'nai of bittul, I can understand that if you didn't have what to take, it's a bittul of the matana. We're not talking about a bittul of matana. We're talking about that matana didn't begin because you need a T'nai hamikayemis. It's not a T'nai hamevatelis. It's a T'nai hamikayemis. It's big enough geminis la'alacha. A T'nai of bittul, so you have to say first the sad bittul and then say the tzad kiyum. At T'nai of Kiyum, you first have to say the Tzad Kiyum, the big enough community. What do you say first? If it's a Kiyum, you have to say, if you will get this, it'll be a Kinyan. So you have to say the positive first. If it's T'nai of Bittul, what do you want? What do you want? You have to say that negative. If this will happen or this will not happen, it'll be negative. It's a major enough communist la'alacha. There's a nice Reb Chaim on this in the, actually not in the Sefer, in the stencils over there. Oh God, help me. I think it's dealing with the sugi of Oinus Begitten and Ksubis Daf Beis. I don't remember, but it should be there. Where he discusses this nafkamina between the Tnai Kiyum and the Tnai Bittul. Mr. We'll get into it on Thursday or something like it. But when you understand, but that's question number one. Second of all, the bigger questions, there are the Razor himself equates this to the Gemara Daf Kuf Lamed Vav in Divra Maskal Al Tatama. That what we're talking about, what's it talking about over there? There's no Tnai over there. A Kaisan the Chasav of Bnei Lacher Misa. What's the equation, B'chal? No one thinks that there it's a din Tnai. There's the Tnai there. How can you say there's a Tnai there? Bishlam by Acharecha, you can dream that Acharecha is an inference to Tnai. Taking for granted this is believed by you, but normally a Tnai has to be Mefurish. But we know the famous Taishis in Kedushin, Davavam, and Beis, if something is believed by you, believe Kol Adam, no, you don't have to have Tnai Kafel, etc. There's a very famous Taishis. We will discuss it in the following week. But wood, that's out there, but where do you get in Mayom Lacher Misa, even a remez of Tnai? So it's not even shaykh. So how can you even dream? I don't begin to understand the Ramban's approach to the Razor. It's clearly not that. What is the dash of the Razor? So to understand this, I'm going to try to take a broad scope of things to understand a lot of things on the way. First, I'd like to understand, Taku, what is the getter, as we started mentioning this in last year, what are the getter of Matana of Hayoim al-Achamisa, that Gemara and Daf Kuf Lamed Vav Amid Aleph, the Mishnah and the Gemara, which the Razor brings. So we saw there the Rashbam in Divra Maschel. Please have the Gemaras and open them. Divra Maschel HaKaisef, parallel to the, you have an Oiz V'Hadar, parallel to the first line of the Gilyon Hashas. So what does he write over there? He writes, Ma'ayom yeh koni lecha haguf levadai v'l'achar misa tein nigmeres hamatana shetochal gam haperes la'achar misasi. So the lashon is the matana will be nigmar. This he also wrote. We already saw before that mentioned last time in Kuf Lamed Hey Amid Beis in Divrei Amaschal ve'ezoi. He said that the guf is koni lecha ma'ayom and the peres is la'achar misa. Here the lashon is the matana will be nigmar la'achar misa with the peres. Okay, so obviously we have to understand what this means. What is not found in the Rashbam is that what we saw yesterday in the Rashbam Bab Metzia Yutes Amid Beis. In the Rashbam Bab Metzia Yutes Amid Beis, we saw an idea, no, that you really have everything, but there's a shiur in what I have, and we explained that Rashba with the Reb Kiva Eger and Tshuva Peiches. Madura Tinyana, as I mentioned yesterday, okay, but that's Shitas Rashba, very interesting, because if you remember what we said, you can go back and look it up. Whatever it is, none of that has a zeicher in the Rashbam at all. There's no zeicher that's a din of shiur that means that you have both the guf and the peiros, but I now took back the peiros for a certain tzustashmush. And it's not found in the Rashbam. There's no way that's the pshat in Mayom Lacher Misa. With the greatest respect to Kiva Eger, I told you I have a mokum for him in the Rashba. There's no way I can see this in the Lashonis of the Rashbam in any fashion, form, or such. It's not a vote of Nigmer HaMatana. The Matana was Nigmer. The only way you have is Chus Shimush. It's not the Matana was Sholem. Did you took something back? The lush of Nigmer HaMatana would not apply. That's not what it means. So what does it mean? Nigmer hamatana through the key and pairs la'achar zman. How does this work? And the answer is, we look at the Gemara in Daf Kuf Lamed Vav Amid Aleph at the bottom. Let's read that. Itmar, the Gemara says, Machar Aben, again, we're talking about Matana Ma'ayom La'achar Misa. A typical tzavah, a person wants to leave the nechasim for his son. He's getting married with someone else. He wants to make sure his son from his first wife has the nechasim. So he gave it to him. That's the din of a kaisim nechasim l'banav. What does the Mishnah say on that? Well, let's first see the Mishnah. The Mishnah in the one line before it widens out. A kaisim nechasim l'bnai la'achar ma'isai ha'av eni yachal limkar mipnei shem ksuvim leben. Ben and Yochel Limker Nation Bishus Ha'av. Macha Av Mechurim Achiyamus. Mocher ben en lo lekech bem klum ad sheyamu sa'av. Zot the Rashbam. La'acher moisai. Mishnah, the bottom of the page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the last like 8 lines. Hakaisa nechasa of nay hu adin la'acher moisai hainu me'ayem la'acher misa. Ha'aven yochel limker la'acher haguf via peiros legamre. Underline the word legamre. Mipnei shiksuvim leben haguf me'achshot u'peiros la'acher misa. In other words, he can't sell the perish legamra because the ksuvim leben la'acher misa. He can't sell the guf legamra because he doesn't have the guf now. Okay? Haben and yochel limker legamra l'chaya av. Why not? Bipnei she'em b'shus av, which means to do what? Lechol perish. Now it's an interesting lashon. Here he says the b'shus av, and it means lechol perish. Usually b'shus means to say more than just lechol peris. What is the synonymous between the word lechol peris and bershusa? Is it bershusa or is it shalai linyan peris? What's meant to say? Why is that can't he sell it? Why? Because it's bershusa linyan peris. I can't sell now the guf b'tzur muchletus. I can sell the guf b'tzur muchletus. Elamai the peris. I can't sell it at the moment. Granted. But why the mechiras agufka can't that be chal? Why can't we say the loikeh has enough? Kamina, you'll see in a minute. This is really very interesting. Ma'achshav sha'av yimker peiros. He can sell the peiros of what? Of what he has now. Va'ben yimker aguf. Now, how is that even possible? If l'chayra he doesn't own, I mean, if he obviously means to say he can't sell the guf. He just can't sell it legamra. That's what this Rashbam sounds like. It sounds l'chayra that the fact that the father has the peiros, that's not a problem as far as the guf of the son, because he said together they can sell. What do you mean together? They are two different entities. And if the peiros being biyad ha'av is a chisor and the koyach and mechira of the ben, how by selling together with the av does that help? What's that? The two separate entities. You sell what you have, I sell what I have. That what he said before. That the ben en yochelimka legamri b'chaya av b'pnei she'em b'shus ha'av lechol peiros. It means to say he can sell the guf. He can't sell the peiros. L'chayra, that's what it means. Well, that's not going to make sense in 2 minutes. Let's go a little further. So it's right to the Rashba. Machar av stoma mechurim b'peiros en l'lekeach. Achiyamu sa'av. Avo kishiyamu sa'av yitla ben gama guf. That's he gets anyway because he always has it. Gama pes. What's meant yitla ben is a guf. He always had the guf. Oy hu oy abba mikaychay. What's meant yitla guf? I mean, now practically he's taking guf. He had a key in a guf, but the guf was found by the father for eating the peiros. Which means to say you may have been the bailing, but it was meshubah to the father for the peiros. Mela there for the usages, therefore Mela you didn't practically have it. Loishna mesa av b'chaya ben v'loishna mesa ben b'chaya av. Sha peris macha av. Av aguf koni legamer leben mishasha kosev le'av. Ukishem mesa ben achar kach zot Rashbam v'achar kach ha'av v'yesh le'banim lo isay ben einem yoshim is koichot. That is simple because you own it. Then he says, look the Gemara. Now look at the Gemara. Itma machar haben b'chaye ha'av. Machar haben. First in the Mishnah, b'chaye ha'av. Ein le'leikeach peiros ad sheyamu sa'av. Why? Sharei hu kiben. And just like the father, the son doesn't have peiros until the father dies. He can't sell what he doesn't have to leikeach. Avo kisheyamu sa'av. Yesh like mia lekeach gufa peiros. Okay, going. He adds shaben kayum. Avim mesa ben v'achakach mesav. This is the plukta in the Gemara. This plukta that we're going to learn now. So what do we know? So far, it seems to be in the Rashbam that the son is a total owner of the guf. His father has, so to speak, the peiros, and in principle, the son can sell the guf. He just can't sell the peiros because he doesn't own it. And the father has the peiros l'zman. He can't sell peiros l'achar zman, and he can't sell the guf because he doesn't have it. So l'chayra, according to that, they can sell it together. That's what it says. This is what he said, the Rashbam in the stomach of the Mishnah. This isn't before in the Mishnah. This comes out l'chayra from the stomach of the Mishnah. But then we see there's going to be a switch over here. Look at the Gemara immediately. Itmar, the last line of the Gemara. Mochra ben b'chayav. Umesa ben b'chayav. In others, we're in a situation where now the son will never realize his pay rise. So he had a goof but never had pay rise. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, like kada like keach, nothing happened. He couldn't even sell that, which is clearly telling you immediately that he doesn't really have the goof. Because if he really had the goof, what's the sweat? Whatever he had, he sold. It's just obviously now transforming that which the Rashbam said beforehand, what he would call the Pshuta Shel Mishnah. The Gemara is now going to turn that over. And this is what the Rashbam said before, that each one, they can sell it together. L'chara is not going to fit with what we're going to read now. Because we just told you, no, the son really doesn't even have the goof. He only has the goof really if he also gets the pay rise. That means he has to be alive. Again, Zokter Rashbam, why? Leikana leikeach, let's read Rashbam. Afilu kishiyamu sa'av acharkach. Shemi aylam loy hayu ru'uyim lavi l'dei haben. Ele yachzuru l'shar yorshei ha'av. Umiu im loy machon haben b'chai ha'av. Hayamayder Reb Yochanan, she'af al pi shemeisa ben v'achar kach meisa av, afilu hachi yorshei haben, yorshei matanasai, v'lo yorshei ha'av. In other words, if the son has a child and the grandchild, which is also a Yerush of the father, so we say, here he's taking it instead of the father. And therefore he's called, the son is Yerush, not as a grandson, but he's Yerush as a son of a son. It's perceived that the son had the payers, so the son has it too, the grandson has it too. It doesn't go back just to Yerush Ha'av. Aval Gaba Mechira, Hare Silek Navshai Mishas Mechira. Whatever he had, he already gave to this leikech. He's out. But he didn't have what it takes for the keach to receive. He gave whatever he had, but lekech didn't get it yet. What does this mean? It's very clear here that he was missing something he couldn't totally give. What do you mean? You're out, and yet the keach doesn't have. It seems to be the keach can only have if you also practically have the payros. And you can't practically sell the goof. Yet you're called Mesalikis Atzmai, even if you didn't get it yet, and there's enough Kamina, therefore it won't go to your Yorship. What does this mean? How does this work? Well, he continues and explains it based on a Gemara by Babakama Daf Peches. Okay? I don't know if anybody bothered to look this up. So this basically, what's in the Gemara over there? There we have the Rashbam basically says, he brings the Gemara. The Gemara says that Rabbi Yochanan holds that even Mace, I'll explain it B'kitzur. The Rashbam explains it, let me go early enough a bit. The Rashbam basically explains, the country of Rabbi Yochanan, if the son died B'chai Ha'av, and the payros never came to the son, so then when the father died, it doesn't go to the lekech. Why? Because Rabbi Yochanan holds kinyan payros of the father, ki kinyan aguf tami, and therefore the lashon is v'chi zavin ben lav didei zavin. You can look this up in Rashbam, the end of the Rashbam, the Ramasel Loikon and Lekech. Go down to the last line and a half. Leishna meis ben b'chaya avdloi oseli adei the ben kona leikeach al mekiyin peris lav kekiyin aguf dami v'chi zavin didei zavin. That's if you're kiyin peris lav kekiyin aguf dami. If you go up halfway up, which goes according to Rabbi Yochanan, he says the exact opposite. He says avo meisa ben. This is parallel to the third line of the Bach. Avo meisa ben b'chaya avdloi oseli adei the ben. Ki ma'is av nami lesser lekech alma Kinyan Perish Kinyan Aguf Dami V'chizavin Lav Didei Zavin. Lav Didei does not sound like Lav Bershusoy, it sounds like Loy Shaloi. So the Lashon seems to be that there's a Chesaron in the Kinyan Aguf. He says something that he can't sell. When can he sell it? Only if he also gets the payers. What does this mean? What is this? What's the pshat in this halacha? Again, according to Rav Yochanan, we say kiyin payers of who? Kiyin payers of the father is kiyin aguf dami, and therefore the son can't sell. It's lav didei. Now, what does it mean lav didei? Who owns the guf? Does the father own the goof? Can the father sell the goof? No, he can't sell the goof. He can only sell the peiros. What does it mean? Kinyan peshka kinyan a goof tummy, and therefore the son, what he has, the goof that he has, is called lav didei. This is something we have to understand, and at that Rish Lakish says no. That even if the son died in the life of the father, and the parish never came to him, we say this, the Kayach is kind of. Why? Because the king and parish of the father is not the king of the dummy, and therefore the son sold that which is his. We have to understand, what does it mean, king and parish, king and a guf dummy? And therefore the guf of the ben is not royal mechira because it's lav didei, versus king and parish of the father lav the king and guf dummy, and therefore the guf that the son has is called kid didei. What do these words mean? This is the crux of the issue. Okay, what this all means is very simple. Not simple, but it's there. You just have to see it. So what happens is like this. We have to start. There's a machlekes, as we know in quite a few places in Shas. Machlekes Rav Yochanan or Rish Lakish. If kiyin perish kiyin aguf dami, or lav kiyin aguf dami. What exactly does this mean? So those who bothered to learn Kuf Lamed Vav Amud Beis, where the Gemara says, excuse me, this whole machlekes if macha ben b'chaya av u'meisa ben b'chaya av if kana lekach loy kana lekach, the machlekes of Rav Blachman and Rish Lakish, what the machlekes if kiyin pesh kiyin aguf dami? There you have this machlekes and somewhere else the Mishnah Bikurim by Meiches Hadar Lepeiros. And the Gemara said this machlekes of kiyin pesh kiyin aguf dami lucky kiyin aguf dami. Why do we need this to be repetitive? I mean, every time you tell me stories and say Rabbi Yochanan or Shlok, is that the kasha of the Gemara? And the Gemara says there's a tzrichasa, because you wouldn't know that if in one story that they argue in the other story. And what does the Gemara say? And the Gemara says why? Amalach Rabbi Yochanan. Middle of the page, although normally we say here we need to tell us the story. Why? In the story of Mayom Lacher Misam, we would have raised the thought and say, Abba Lagabe Brei, when he wants to give his present to a child, Achule Achil, he gives him everything. Which means what? Zot the Rashbam. Achula achile gufa legamre. So here the lashon achula does not mean mechila, for goodness sakes. It means a nesina, which is parallel to the Rashbam and Chesed Sabatim, which also said the same thing. That sometimes the lashon mechila, which means nesina. I think I mentioned it by the story of Bitke de Maya. It doesn't matter. Those who remember. Those who don't. Achula achile gufa legamre. The Kinyan Paris, the Islay, Laila Heve Kinyan Haguf. Vachiname Vimatzila Maymar, the Itmer Baha come Rabbi Yechon the Kinyan Paris, Kinyan Haguf, Mishum the Kol, the Gaber Nafshe, Afil Bamakim Bray, Adifale. The Kivan, the Ikiv, the Atzmai Peiros, Shir, Bikinyan Aguf, Li Atzmai. What is he saying over here? It's very clear what it says here. The question of Kinyan Pesh and Kinyan Dufi is a question in Das Adam. What does a person mean when he says he gives a Kinyan Peresh? And there was a side to say that when it comes to my son, I'm giving him everything and I only have Peresh and nothing in the goof. But in other cases, when I give you something, I say Paris, I'm Mishayir also the goof for the Paris. I mean, the Rashbam, this is the Gemara. There's no way you can learn it otherwise. It's not a question of principle whether key in Paris is key in a goof. It's not a question in halacha. It's a question in das adam. Because we see it depends. The chadya, would there be a difference between me and my son, me and myself, so on and so forth. If this was a question in principle, the relation between guf and Paris, then for goodness sakes, this Gemara would make no sense at all. I really hope no one said it. Because they said it, they sound hell and das of a Gemara. It's a davar pashut that's not the question on the table. The question is, when I give you key and Paris, what do I mean? And it seems to be from the language of the Rashbam that Rabbi Yochanan believes that since I kept the schus Paris for myself, I didn't just keep the schus Paris, I kept the schus in the goof for Paris. In other words, as much as the goof is a reason of Paris, I didn't give that to you. I don't just have the Paris, the outcome, the usages. I own the reason of the rights or usages. Every time you have a bilus in a goof, you have bilus for all its usages, for all its time. You don't need a separate reason that I own something for sitting, standing, writing. No. Bilus in the goof is basically bilus for all its tashmishim. Correct? We know that. Okay, that's a davar pasha. Bilus in a goof is a bilus of the siba of the total, all the tashmishim, and a bilus of the siba of all the future. Why do I own the house in another month from now? Because I own it now for all its time. I own it now for all its usages. Any ownership of a goof basically gives me the total usages and time coming out of it as expressions of the key in a goof. When I own the goof, I own the siba of the tashmishim. I own the siba of its existence. I own the siba of its zman. That's why I can give out time packages. That's why I can sell separate usages. We discussed this at length when we did shutfas based on the sugya and hashutfim, where we discussed these ideas. Okay, well, if that's the case, he understands that key and pesky, key and gufin, when a person gives someone key and peiros, what's he doing? He's giving him guf lepeiros. He's basically giving that aspect of the, as much as I'm the bala guf, and that's a guf as a siba of peiros, you have that. In other words, you have now a kinyan in your guf. So the kinyan peiros is a classical kinyan aguf. The only difference is it's a limited version. Kinyan aguf be'etzim is basically a kinyan in all the peiros, in all the zman, which are expressed in the guf. Kinyan aguf is the kinyan of the siba of the total everything. Here you have a limited version. You're bilim in the siba only for peiros. Or maybe only for a certain time. So they're all kinyane haguf. The question is, if kinyan haguf means nothing, well, what does kinyan haguf mean? It means to say a kinyan the siba of Paris. I'm going to refer you to the Rashbam in Daf Nun Amid Aleph that we learned. Divra Amatzlo kinyan haguf dami, where he writes over there, Klaima, ki ilu kana gufain va'oisan she'en le Paris en kinyan haguf sheyeshu be'evet klum. The end gufay oimid elele peiraisa, the hilkach rishon kari adon. At the moment, if all the Paris and all the time belong to somebody, you have nothing, so you don't have a seep of anything. If I have all the Paris, so you don't have a seep for anything. So therefore, you're not called an adon. That's the Lashon of the Rashbam there. So in other words, a classical key means I've now given you the guf, which means the siba of all the future, all the usages, all the time existence of everything. I've given you the core of everything. Okay, that's what guf means. Okay, key and Paris means no, you're not getting the core of everything, but you're getting the core of usages. And in this case, specifically for a limited time, but you can make a key and Paris la'ila. Okay, let's get this straight. So you're getting a core of usages. Now, is there a concept, once all the payers are yours forever, is there anything left in the basic usage of the Baal Haguf himself? That depends on the Ritva and Sukkah that we discussed 2 days ago. whether there's a sigzal here or not. Do you really have anything? Okay, we're not going to that because it's not important for me at the moment. What's going to get to the sugya, Rabbi Yochanan believes the key in Paris, the key in a group. What it means is, I gave you the siba of the Paris. That's what it means. That's how we understand the idea of so what the side of that halacha. It's another key in a Paris is nothing more than a minimalized scope of a regular key in a group. That's all it is. Rabbi Yochanan is not that way. Rabbi Yochanan understands that key in Paris means key in Paris. I never gave you the reason for the Paris. You don't have the Paris in the goof. You have a kinyan in my reason for its Paris. This is a kinyan mechudish. It's an echusdik kinyan, which is different. According to Shlakish, according to Rabbi Yochanan, the difference between a kinyan Paris and kinyan goof is not. It's the same essence, just a different scope. According to Rish Lakish, it's essentially a different idea. It's actually a mechudish de halacha. It's the first time where we hear I can have a kinyan in your nechasim. Normally I have a kinyan and it's my nechasim. Here I have a kinyan in your goof. You're the balasiba and I have the teitzot. You're the balasiba and I have the kinyan, all the teitzot of your siba. That's called Kiyin Paris, Lavka Kiyin Aguftam. It's not Guf Le Paris. It's only that for itself. It's a Kinyan in the Nechasim of someone else. Now you can understand that Rabbi Yochanan, that when he says, if you Kiyin Paris, Kiyin Aguftam, in this Gemara that we learned by Kufla Medvava Medbeis, the Gemara based on nafkamina between them. What does the Gemara say? If you said, Nichse Lecha, Rishon, Vacharecha L'Sheni, Vacharecha L'Shlishi, and what happens if the Sheni died? This is the Gemara at the end of Kuf Lamed Vav Amud Beis. So Rabbi Yochanan says that basically, if that's the case, it goes to Yorshei Rishon, not to Yorshei Hanosein. Again, Nosein gave to Nichse LeRishon, Bachrei Rishon LeSheni, Bachrei Sheni LeShlishi. If you want to read the Gemara, it's the last 8 lines of Kuf Lamed Vav Amud Beis. So Rabbi Yochanan said that if Kiyin Paris Kiyin Aguftami, if Sheni dies, so automatically there's no more Shlishi because the Shlishi only comes with Sheni. Where does it go back to? Does it go to the original giver, to the Nosein, or does it go to Yorshei Rishon? So the Rabbi Yochanan says no, it should go to Yorshei Rishon. What's the reason? The reason is very logical. Remember, as we said before, if you own a goof, you own its total pay rice, you own its total time, you own everything. You own everything. That simple as that. Now, this is what you own. When you gave if that's the case, if I gave you pay rice, what does that mean? I gave the Rishon. What did I give it? If you owe Ki and Pesky, I gave you the Guf Le pay rice. That thing now you own. And normally it should be forever. What stops that forever to continue? Simply because I stipulated that I've limited it if there's a sheni. I made a shiur in your bilus. I gave you kinyan aguf lepeiros, but I said, and normally a kinyan aguf lepeiros means forever, because every bilus of a guf is forever. Every bilus, why do I own something? Why do I own this pen in a month from now, if it will exist? Because I own its body, I own the goof, it's the siba of the future. And if you own the goof lepeiros, so you own it for the siba of that future of the peiros. So you add that key in a goof, if key in peiros means key in a goof lepeiros, in essence, the koyach of that key is perpetual. That perpetual, it's limited to the time of the existence of the pen. You can't own more than the time of the pen. But the time existence of the pen, you have the total peiros on that pen. Granted. Now what happened? But I stipulated, I put a stop to that. I put a dam to that flow. And I said, acharecha, it goes to someone else. But what happens if that acharecha doesn't exist anymore? There is no acharecha. Simple as that. There's no acharecha. Because the only stipulation it will not continue because it has to go to number sheni. There is no sheni. So there is no acharecha li. I need acharecha li. If there's no acharecha le, so where's it going to go to? It can't go to the Rishon, for goodness. Why would it go to the Nosein? The Nosein already gave that guf leperis to the Rishon. He owns that. There's no reason he shouldn't have forever. What stopped him is because now the time has come where there's an acharecha le. If the time has not come and there's no an acharecha le, you continue owning it. So Mamela goes to Yoshei Rishon. That's what the Gemara says. If you hold Kinyan Peres Kinyan Aguf Dami, therefore the Rishon receives the Guf Le Peres, which inherently should be La Olam. Elamai, there's a stipulation of Acharecha Le Sheni. As soon as there's no Kim of Acharecha Le Sheni, the Siba of the future lies in the original Nesina of Peres Le Guf Le Rishon. Whatever the Rishon had is inherently a reason for the future. But there was a dam, a blockage, and this dam is conditioned if there will be such a reality. But if there won't be such a reality, normally you own the future. It's not that after your death, it's after your death to somebody. That's what the Gemara takes for granted. If after your death, there's no to somebody, so you own the future. What stops you owning the future is because there is now a acharecha leplani. There's no acharecha leplani. That shiur in Kinyan was mistalik. There's no more shiur. It's a Kinyan island without a shiur. That's the chayr. That's the Gemara. I'm just explaining what I'm not doing any chidushim, but that's what the Gemara says. That according to Rabbi Yochanan, it should be Yoshei Rishon. So the Gemara, but according to Rish Lakish, which says that Kinyan Peres Laka Kinyan Aguf Dami, who should it belong to? So the Gemara, it should belong to who? It should belong to Yoshei Nosein. Why should it belong to Yoshei Nosein? Once again, if Rish Lakish understands that basically when I gave the Peres to Rishon, I didn't give him a right in the guf. The Siba of the guf is still the Nosein's. Elamai, he has basically said that although the Siba is mine, the Teitzua I have given to a Rishon. Granted. And afterwards, the Teitzah will be going to a Sheni. And afterward, the Teitzah will be going to a Shlishi. What have I done? I actually own the reason of all these payros. But I have given, although I own the reason, the payros proper, I would say the koyach hatzmicha, the koyach in the guf for payros I own, which should normally be a reason whenever there's payros, they're mine. Why do you think I own an apple I have an apricot tree in my garden, okay? Why do I own those apricots? Because I own the koyach hatzmicha found in the guf for those apricots. I don't need I don't need a ma'aser kinyan. I can sell that koyach hatzmicha guf lepeiros. I can sell. It's shalia b'shusi. The apricots are here. It's not called a davar shloi b'layla. I can sell guf lepeiros. I'm the bailim. There's no suffix about it. If that's the case, zunter hey. So the same thing. The owner actually owns the siba of all these tashmishim. Elamai. He stipulated that the tashmish gufa is going to be given to Mr. Rishon, and afterwards, what happens after Mr. Rishon is out? What should normally happen? If there's no sheni, and there was no concept of further stipulation, what should happen? Well, you could say, well, if Rishon owns the parish, he should continue owning the parish. So what happens is if he's a ger shemesh, and there's no yorship, B'kai Gavna, that won't be hefker. Because I own the Siba of the future, it's automatically mine. If I gave a Kinyan Peres to a ger, and he doesn't have children, and when he dies, normally, since there's no children, Ramela, there's no Yorshim, so it goes to Hefker. Will that become Hefker? The answer is no. I own the reason of that future now. The only thing is you own the practical ownership. Now that you don't have it, I own it immediately because that's my reason. I don't have to make a new Kinyan on that. Anybody else has to try to be zeicha that. That's a problem. How can you be zeicha? Something I have the reason for. The sibus abalis of mine, you have to come back to me. That's why Rish Lakish said that Kinyan Peres, Latka Kinyan Aguftami, if you gave to Rishon, Rishon now has the Peres, and the Sheni died b'chaya Rishon, or the Sheni died, Memela, what's going to happen? And then the Rishon died. Where's it going to be? After the Rishon died, the Sheni died, it's going to go back to Yoshei Nosein. That's the Gemara. That's very simple. I'm just pointing out what I'm saying is nothing more than reading the Gemara intelligently. So this Rabbi, is based. Yes.
How is Rabbi explaining the rest of the guf that's not guf lepiros and Rabbi Yochanan?
let me take it all to the end, and you were going to finish it. You already see, I have probably another hour to talk, and I only have 12 minutes. And this without anybody disturbing, but I must comment, very good boys. Okay, I'm just talking now literally in a very clear way, which I hate doing because it takes so much time. But I think everybody understands what I'm saying now. I mean, unless there's deficiency. Okay, actually do me a favor, Mayor, give me my 10 minutes. When's your Ma'ariv? 7:30 or supper?
7:30 supper.
When's Ma'ariv?
8:15.
We have time. I ain't finishing yet. Okay, very good. So you got plenty of time. Okay, so that's what's happening over here in this halacha. This is the davar pasha. According to this, now we can understand the idea of matana of me'ayom la'achar misa. What did we ask? We asked, for goodness sakes, how are you going to be kind of the peiros? It's la'achar misa. I can't sell it to you. It's not michayim. How do you all of a sudden get the peiros? I have the peiros, and now they go to you. Isn't that the question we asked? That's how we started this whole thing. How does this work? Well, the answer is going to lie in a Chidushei Rash with Avkuf Lamed Vav Amid Beis Divrei Masel Reb Yochanan. I don't know if you have it. I only have it. I don't have the my Rashba, the old Rashba, which has the Chelik Beis, is found in Kerem B'Yavne, so I had to download this. I'm going to read pieces of Rashba to you. Okay, so the Rashba says, Afilu meis ha'av b'chaye haben, nami lo yikna lo keach. Why do we say only if meis ben b'chaye ha'av lo yikna lo keach? Do you recall? Why don't we say this even if lo meis ben b'chaye ha'av? Afilu meis ha'av b'chaye haben, nami lo yikna lo keach. Why? The Havale Kimashi Irish Mi Abba Mochalacha. You don't own those payers yet. How can it work? How does he get the payers all of a sudden? You didn't own it. It's like a Davar Shloi Balayla. The payers belong to the father. Granted, you sold what you had, you could sell the best of the goof to the Leikeach. You didn't have the payers. When did you get the payers? With the death of the father. How is that included in the Mechira? The Mechira was b'shas the Chayav. You didn't have the payers. How did the payers immediately go to the Leikeach once the father is deceased? If the father died b'Chayav ben, how's it work? The Raj faked the kasha. Oh, the Rishonim asked the question, but the Raj was very clear. And the Raj, that's question number one. But he asks another question. We learned that the Ayom Acher Misa. We learned that, what do we say? The goof belongs to me today, and the payers Acher Misa. Well, then, if the goof belongs to me, l'chayra, at least the goof should belong to the leikeach. Why do we say meis ben l'chayav? There's no leikeach gets nothing. I don't understand. I had the goof. Why does the goof not belong to the leikeach? There's two questions here. If meis ha'av b'chayav ben, okay. So we say that what? That the Lekech gets both the guf and the peiros. How does he get the peiros? B'shas mechira. The peiros belong to the father. The flip side is, what do we say? If Mesa ben b'chayav, the Lekech gets nothing. Why not? Didn't he own the guf? The son owned the guf. The father had the peiros. Why can't that key in a guf be sold to the Lekech? These are two questions of the Rashba. And the Rashba brings the Rimigash and the Ravid. He prefers the Rimagash. I'm going to read extras the Rimagash. Rabbi Yochanan lav b'kiyim mamish ka'omar. When Rabbi Yochanan said kiyim pesh kiyim aguf, and the father has kiyim aguf, lav b'kinyin mamish ka'omar, v'loy meshu shel av. Ella la'akev b'kinyin. He has enough in the guf to be me'akev in the kinyin. It's not that the guf belongs to him. He has enough in the guf to be ma'akiv in the kinyan. Va'ad shalei meis v'shalei nistalka reshusa mehen lo yikana lekeach. Thus, while he's alive, the keach received nothing because he affected. He has peiros in the guf. This is mi'akev that you can't sell even the guf. Okay, so far so good. If that's a chsaron of Eina B'Shusai, there's no such thing as B'Shusai L'Mafreya. So then why does it work after the guy died? If the chsaron is because I own the payrosh, therefore you don't have, it's Eina B'Shusai Shecha. More the Kulami, there's Eina B'Shusai L'Mafreya. Are you out of your freaking head? Just think what it means. I retroactively have control. You didn't. The words don't make sense. How does it work? Okay. He continues and writes, Meisa av b'chaya haben. Here's a lashon. Nisroikein kinyan haguf labein. Nisroikein. Did anybody learn Nedarim? Did anybody learn Perik Naiva Marasa? Raise your hands. No. You look up the word Nisroikna. Nisroikein kinyan haguf laben. You have to look it up. What does it mean? The Igla Milsa, the Mahi Shaita, the Kasfino Leben, Zocha Haben, the Have Nichsedidei. Now, this is an interesting Medrash Pliya. Well, we have to figure out what the word Nisrokein means. But he writes here is something interesting. He says basically what the son has is a certain deficiency in his ownership. Now, he had the reason for that, but he didn't have it realized. But as soon as he has it realized, that defines what he had before. Something happens here. The son, when he has kinyan aguf, and his father has kinyan peirosh, which are kinyan aguf, qualitatively, what the son has at the moment is something which cannot be sold. Once he receives also the kinyan peiros with the death of the father, this redefines retroactively what he always had. And since he always had that, because that's the definition of what he has, that could be sold. What does this man mean? That's the question on the table. Look, I'm going to be fair to you. I need a good another 25 minutes. It ain't happening. Oh God. How do we continue this without being a murder malchus? I know what to do. We're going to start shir on Thursday, a half an hour early. An hour early? How much early can we start shir on Thursday? And that'll be called like just shiraim of this shir, and I'll finish it and then start the next sugya. That's what we're going to do.
Barry, why can't we start on Wednesday? Why can't we just do it before the
Because I can't do this because it'll be a murder malchus. I can't make the whole shir on that. If the pshat already started the second Mishnah, I'm just finishing up. You know, sometimes things work with what Mashanira Venishma. This is not going to work like a lawyer. It has to think of PR. Here's my suggestion. How early can we start on Thursday? People, the boys in America, can you start a 45-minute earlier or a half an hour earlier? You're thinking about it. Okay, Mayor, Lazar, find out. That's what we're going to do. I need to be able to finish this. There ain't no way I'm not finishing this. On the other hand, I need my head on my shoulders. Therefore, what we're going to do is what I just said. We're going to find a way to do this on Thursday. But I need at least a half an hour. And if it goes longer, so you'll have more time to prepare the Ramban. It'll be called, it's Begeder Taravis. Mean b'mino yichveis bottle. We'll figure it out somehow. We'll find a beauty for this. Good. Okay. Let me know. Are we holding together so far? Have I been clear? I think I've been clear. I couldn't be clear. I talked at this pace like by my bar mitzvah. I should talk like a bar mitzvah drasha. Okay. I have to understand what's the pshat in that rimigash. Now I want you to look up two more rimigashes. One I sent you. The Rimigash and Avkuf Lamed Vav Amedal Diramasla Itmar. That Rimigash, but read all of it. And I need you to read the Ramah in Boa Basra, Kuf Lamed Vav, Ois, Kuf Ayin Tes. Make sure it's that one. Before I go further, 1 minute. Yeah, Kuf Ayin Tes. Okay, those two things, once you know that, we'll have the whole picture, then we can immediately learn the Razah inside and the Balamor and the Razah inside. It'll be beautiful. Shouldn't take me more than a half an hour if you're well prepared. See you guys. Love you all. Tell me on Thursday how I like to start. Hi. Kol Tov.
Rabbit.